All right, Jim Zarski,
Here.
Michelle Gazarik,
Here.
Miles Hoffman is not here yet. Lisa Barnes.
Here.
John Heckman.
Here.
And Patrick Payne doesn't look like he's here yet either online. Yeah. All right.
Now, do I don't, if you guys are looking at the agenda now, I respect them. First time, but we need an approval to a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as published.
Second. Is it Matt or at this point we all roll call?
So just all that means there's no quorum, so y'all can't officially motion to approve things. So no, because unfortunately it's out of we've talked about changing this rule because it's out of the original 9, not out of the majority of seated members for quorum. Correct. Well, and we can't change it. It's a town rule. So Michaela is aware. It's something we've considered because we're not the only committee that has fluctuated up and down. And of course, this would be quorum if it was out of the seated members. And there is a new member being interviewed next Monday. So that's exciting as well. But in the meantime, we'll have to just keep it unofficial. We can still have a meeting.
All right, and then sure, that's great. We can move it more towards us or
We're gonna need Renee down there, so
You know, you can sit right here. You want me to do it? Okay. I finished eating, so I'll do it.
all right, so we got public comment, but I know two of the folks here. I mean, we can bring Phoebe and River on, but their lines are still later on the agenda.
Phoebe and River, because you're gonna talk later, I'm gonna promote you to panelist, so you can talk whenever. But you're also welcome to provide public comment if you'd like.
Do you have anything to say, Phoebe or River, or just as we talked about, you're just hanging out for your window?
Cool. They're
Yeah, looks like they're needed. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we're all set on public.
Okay.
Let's move on to updates from the town council liaison.
I think the only update that I have, as Superior of the LOAC stuff is that we're going over the grant for what the next strategies are going to be for air quality efforts. And I was talking to Michelle and I thought about sending it to you guys just to get your feedback. So I will send that to you. Because it's still in the kind of endorsement by the RAC committee stages. They haven't started to implement any of the strategies. And some of them are building on what was already there before. But I would love to get feedback on this. Yeah.
Is this specific to like the airport, or is this air pollution for the whole town?
The Denver metro area, the Regional Air Quality Council.
Okay.
So it's the parameters are trying to get the region into the attainment levels, which we haven't been at. And so these are going to be new strategies, but also expanding on strategies that are there for, like turning food trucks into electric, or changing from gas to electric appliances for, yard work. And we have a retreat on the 7th where we will spend the whole day coming up with ideas. So I'll send that to you guys later.
November 7th.
Get some of your feedback or thoughts or ideas.
Just include that.
That's fine, but just so you can clear.
Just include that deadline. You get the comments back. I'd love to take a look at that. What else going on? All right, I guess we're on to town staff.
all right. Well, we have a lot going. As I think you all saw, we are hiring for a specialist. So that is exciting. We have about 5 days left with the position open, and we've gotten about 85 applicants so far. in 1 week. So very exciting, very competitive. But I feel really confident we're going to get someone great. So stay tuned on that. Update on ACE's elections. As you all know, Nikki was our vice chair and we lost her last meeting. But because we've had so many new members, and we'll have other new members before January when we traditionally hold elections, we decided we can get by with just our wonderful chair, Jim, for now, and that it made more sense to postpone until January for that election. So just know that's happening. And as we already mentioned, another candidate for ACES is getting interviewed on Monday. So that's great. Wanted to give an update on the Boulder County Sustainability Grant. They changed the requirements fairly significantly this year. We provided a lot of input and they didn't really take any of it. So it was about a year-long process of us going back and forth with them. And, they've decided what the guidelines are. So we are applying to fix our inverters at South Pool. One of the inverters is down. It means our panels are not functional. And it's about a $30,000 cost to replace that, which is great because that's about exactly our grant amount. So that's what we applying for. Chili Fest diversion was awesome. We got a new company this year, CBYS, and they did a great job of separating out compost and recycling. And there was a 62% diversion rate, which is awesome, of keeping that much out of the landfill, especially for Chili Fest, which is, you all know, is just the biggest, hardest event to manage and has the most waste out of everything. So that was over 700 pounds of recycling and compost, sorry. Electric truck, I wanted to keep you all updated. As you know, electrifying our fleet is one of our goals. We don't have that many vehicles in town. So, and many of those belong to our park staff who need to do things like plow with those vehicles. And so really excited that we were able to find a truck that is it's a Jeep that they're replacing that's currently gas powered. And it's on the consent agenda for Monday for the board to approve the purchase of a Ford Lightning. So very excited to try that out, and it will tow our events trailer. So it can still kind of provide the level that we need for that particular vehicle, but I'm really happy our parks team was willing to work with us and look at really what they needed, what was possible, because we just don't have that many opportunities.
Which group is
The Parks and Recreation team, yeah. So right now they have a Jeep that the ranger uses and other people, and then they're replacing it with hopefully a Lightning to be able to tow the events trailer as well. Town volunteer dinner is going to be November 6th. Michaela should be reaching out about that shortly if you haven't already heard from her. Okay, good. Oh, good. Okay, great. I couldn't remember. I'm going so quick lately that sometimes I don't catch everything, but I wanted to make sure. Okay, good. And I gave her all the stats for all the wonderful volunteering and participation that ACES has done at all of our events and everything else. So please attend if you're able to. That's always a nice time. And then I wanted to address the question that I think John brought up about the best way to kind of connect with council, get in front of council, everything else. We didn't have time to put it on the agenda tonight, but just a quick recap. And then if you want to discuss it next meeting, I think there's going to be time. So in general, there's a number of different ways that ACES kind of comes in front of council naturally. I would say the best time is that ACES council dinner, because ACES sets the agenda for that. You can talk about whatever you want. It's your chance to really get like a full hour of the board's time, which, can be tricky. So I'd say that's, your number one opportunity every year to like have a discussion and really have the back and forth on things without necessarily needing specific direction, just kind of getting a temperature on things like that. ACES kind of indirectly provides feedback to council through the budget process that we do, because that's something that I bring before council. It has a lot of sustainability items. ACES recommends things, has a direct correlation with what the town actually funds and does. Public comment is great. Michelle did that last meeting. Thank you, Michelle. And I think that's always a great time that you can just get up and like let them know about something like New York Climate Week, highlight something briefly. You don't have to do any planning for that, and it's your time. So that's always a wonderful opportunity. And then last, there is a chance if there's something that you need specific like action on from council, direction on from council, that's an ACES item related to the ACES work plan, that's something that we can always talk about for getting an actual spot on an agenda. But it needs to be like, have that focus to it.
Can I add one more thing? I forgot the state of the stairs where October 29th.
Mhm.
It's a.
Civic space.
Yes, yes.
That's civic space this side, yeah.
In downtown.
The new building, yeah.
We have our eco-meeting trailer the next night. Halloween's the next night.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
busy. But it's gonna be cool, and there's a couple of sustainability slides, so. We'll get that highlighted. And last thing I just want to highlight was meeting notes. I know with new members, there was kind of a question of how do we do that, everything else. As you know, there's the template I send out every month, but I also added some example summaries. If you ever end up doing the meeting notes, there's some examples of kind of what to submit in the Dropbox.
Good.
Yep.
Any questions on Alexis's update, comments? Okay, yeah, I know we were going back and forth on the community system, yeah, some nothing council, all that stuff. I do agree with Alexis, the best conduit to her. And then, yeah, they bring their stuff up to staff and then build it up from there.
Yeah, I mean, the discussion, Michelle, you did really quickly. The discussion was you went there, I think we have this spot that we are using the council, we should be taking advantage of that. So, feel like we're getting enough guidance that you guys say, but just opportunity we had all of us.
I think it does help, as a resident, if you see something where you have a question about, that's the time to bring the question up. Because that is, and it could be a long-term question that you're not necessarily expecting the answer at that moment, but it raises that we need to do some research or details.
Yeah, and I think the work plan is a great part to think about, like those times that you are looking for action from council. Like ACES help present the beneficial electrification plan, ACES help present their waste contract recommendation. Like there are parts that ACES has come before council and kind of talked about why they came to the recommendations they did and other things in that kind of advising council role. But it's always an option. It's just more like targeted to a specific ACES item that needs direction. That's what I would say.
You guys all set? All right, so I guess we're moving on to the energy and EV code updates and grant presentation. Is that you, Renee? All right.
But, I mean,
Spotlight's on you.
I'll introduce myself and then I'm gonna hand it over to Alexis to do the intro couple of slides. So my name is Renee Stavros. I'm the planning and building director for the town. Alexis and I have been working together for a while now on energy code related items, among lots of other things. We seem to end up in meetings together frequently these days, but specific to this evening, we are looking at updating our codes for building, for energy, for EV charging, early 2026. Oh gosh, I almost said 2024. I was going back in time. And there's grant funding opportunities and money that are allocated by the state to help us in achieving certain energy goals. So that's kind of what we're talking about this evening.
And just to be clear for those of you that are less familiar with code, in general, what we're referring to is new development. We're not necessarily referring to existing development in most cases, except for EVs where we are just writing that you can have EV charging and how to do it into our codes. But in general, if you're not as familiar, that's what we mean. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the code cohort. I guess I'll go back for a second. That's why we have, you can see it's branded not our town of Superior, Lotus Engineering and Sustainability, their consultant firm that worked with Boulder County. We worked as part of their cohort. and they made this slide deck that we've modified. But they're really helpful at helping us evaluate all the things along with SWEP and SHUMS CODA. So wanted to talk a little bit about that code cohort that we've been a part of since 2021. The different code pathways we're considering for energy codes. We haven't made any decisions yet, but we're working a lot with Safe Build, that's our building arm, to just evaluate and make sure they're right for Superior, looking at what all of our options are. So there's a lot of great options from the state as well. And then just a brief update about other codes we're kind of going to package everything together with. And then the Dr. Cog grant that Renee referred to. So the regional building policy cohort is a group that was kind of brought together by Boulder County. It started way back in 2021 to look at the 2021 ICC code amendments, which are the energy code. And it was kind of a gathering of a group of Boulder County municipalities trying to get together to understand what are these codes, how can we get them adopted, how can we move forward on energy code, because energy codes are really dense. I don't know if anyone else has ever tried to read or interpret them, but they are a lot to figure out. And then this version of the cohort, the phase we're at now, is really looking at how do we want to align on the 2024 ICC code updates. And then looking at electric preferred. So we're not looking at mandatory all electric yet, but how can we really encourage through code people to either go all electric or have to go through more processes in order to be efficient and sustainable. And then the state came up with their low energy and carbon code. So this cohort also evaluated, do we want to stick with that? Do we want to be more aggressive than that? Kind of what level do we think we want to land on? So in this phase that we're at, phase 3 with this code cohort, you can see there's quite a few cities, not just in Boulder County, because there's a lot of interest regionally and beyond in all these energy codes. And so this cohort consisted of a lot of sustainability people, but also a lot of building and planning officials, as you would imagine. So quite a good group of people here. So far, the city of Golden has adopted it. The city of North Glen is looking to adopt it. Louisville has evaluated it. And then some of these cities like City of Boulder and City of Lafayette actually have code that's more aggressive than this at this point, but it's still helpful to have regional consistency and look at what's possible, what the issues might be, et cetera. So here's a little background of just the progress. Like I mentioned, we've been part of this since 2021. When it started, they reviewed all the different things, including like possible legal implications of these codes, which you all may have heard of with some that have just gone all electric mandatory. There's been the EPCA legal challenges, and then just reviewing it against other code models and other things with policy experts, because there's people who love energy code and really want to get deep in it. So we appreciate them. So just related, as mentioned, there's the ICC 2024 code, which is the base code. So there's just a code book that group puts out that just is for everybody. Then the state of Colorado has their own model low energy and carbon code that's kind of based on that base code, but goes further towards lowering emissions. And then there's the cohort that's looking at, has created its own package, which the great thing about this cohort now too is that last time we had to adopt individual amendments, they've now made it an ICC code book. So if we adopt this, we could just adopt that code book. We don't have to, because some people like adopted parts incorrectly, not Superior. I won't name any names, but you can imagine when you're going through amendment by amendment, it can get really complicated. So we're excited about this. We're still unpacking all of it with Safe Build. But yeah, excited. I'm going to turn over to Renee to talk specifics here.
So all of the things she just said lead up to where we are today, and that there have the drafted cohort package, if you will. And this chart here just kind of discusses the difference between the cohort recommendations, and when you see LECC, that's the state recommended low energy carbon code. So the up arrow means that the pathway for the cohort is more stringent, And then a check mark means that it is exactly the same. And then the lines are just that it's not applicable. So, generally speaking, the cohort is more stringent or creates different pathways where the state doesn't. So the amendment package goes into a lot of details. Some of the main things that it does are listed here. It reduces greenhouse gas emissions and pollution. It maintains affordability and equity. The amendment package and the roadmap focus on new construction, like Alexis said, not necessarily for reconstruction. Regional consistency, the idea is to make sure that, if we adopt a code and the neighbors adopt a code, that helps someone else adopt the code who may not have otherwise felt comfortable adopting the code. So it's really a way to bring everyone together and raise everyone up at the same time. So you need some leaders in order to get the people to follow. And that's kind of the idea of this cohort.
And it makes it easier for builders as well. You can imagine that a lot of the same builders are building in different communities next door to each other. And if the code is the same, they're not having to learn new codes for each community, which can simplify things.
Either meets or exceeds the minimum that's required in the IECC standard code. It aligns or simplifies the state code. The state code is made for this entire state, and this regional cohort code. A lot of the energy codes sections have to do with more climate zone. So a lot of the amendments that they make and like the reductions in wording in pages come basically from just making sure that it's specific to our climate zone, and we don't have to pay attention to all the other climate zones in the state, or if you just adopted the IECC, the country.
Basically front range, the region.
Yeah.
Climate zones are based off of, if you want the technical answer, it's a number of heating and cooling degree days for where you live. So where it's colder, you have more heating, less cooling. And then where you get warmer, you have more cooling and less heating. So there's like 8 climate zones across the world.
Use cohorts in the same.
But yeah, we're all on 5B, coming down the front range, because we have about the same heating and cooling, which is,
How about the state?
Obviously, the mountains have
The
more.
mountains have.
yeah, like, it's like Aspen, all those places are climate zones, like 7 and 8.
Okay.
We're at 5 down.
Thank you.
Some of the differences include improving compliance and flexibility without sacrificing conformance. We'll get more into that a little bit later. And it's tailored locally.
Because we all had a part in making it. So that was the goal, was to have a long time of participation from building officials, sustainability people, talking about what the goals were, and then help technical experts come in and say the best ways to achieve them that were specific to our areas.
Can you share anything about the equity piece of that?
Yeah.
Specific to that? I mean, I saw the goals page, so like I'm overlay of just keeping it in consideration, but is there anything that is specific to being an issue or concern or?
I don't remember the conversations around it. You might have more, but like just generally speaking, the idea behind the adoption of this code is for consistency, and it allows allows you to build something that is energy efficient and save money in the long run, right? So you may be paying more, but maybe not significantly more, because it isn't, I mean, it's not crazy above the 2024 IECC, but like it does provide pathways for more and greater energy efficiency, and then you then in turn save in the long run. So now, like the equity piece that we're trying to extend to people across the front range is that like we don't want to have someone build something that's not energy efficient and then, you know, make that affordable and then have it be more expensive later.
Would you ask about that when you, or you talk about what you do?
I guess sort of, but just very much entry, like things that maybe people who have wealth and options would choose to upgrade or do something. Like for them to,
Yeah.
do that, or grants or things that are gonna like meet those needs versus.
So the code applies to like affordable housing units, which is how they tie that to like an equity or affordability piece is like, you know, because we're talking about really new developments or new buildings, new construction. The hope is that you use this code because it's required and it's required across the metro region. And so the equity pieces that we're all applying it equally and everyone in the construction of the buildings is the same. And so, and the hope is that you then save money down the road, long term.
But I think the key though, to your level, is choosing the developers that know how to build an affordable, equitable building. Because I was just standing on a presentation yesterday of a affordable housing complex I was building in Breckenridge. And it's a specific developer that specialized in building affordable housing that was very energy efficient. It was net zero. It had a full PV array on site. And you think, oh my God, this is for the rich and famous on this place. No, actually the long-term operational cost of this place is less than the developers are coming and looking to make a quick buck and get out. And so I think a key to that, and this probably goes for commercial buildings too. You have a developer coming in, they're following the code, design a building that's going to have a lower operational cost over time than something that's inefficient and have higher operational costs. So.
Does that tie into our air quality then? Because if they're more energy efficient, they're not burning as much fossil fuels.
Yes.
And then we don't have the poor air quality. So it is linked to what you're doing in RAC too.
Yeah, a lot of this cohort package, in addition to being tailored to our, why we should adopt this package, is because, you know, it's tailored to us, yes, but it's also to what you were just talking about. Like it provides options to folks, and it really it tries to lead you to the electric path. So the 2024 IECC still allows, it also allows you to go gas, but it doesn't provide as many incentives for you to go electric or to go all electric. So this is, and like the Colorado code goes a little bit farther in that, and this one goes even farther. So it's really like, yes, you can do this, but you lose a lot of points in your energy code in your construction of your and energy code based on points. I don't know how like to describe how you get points for your energy code, but like when you have gas, you don't get points, and the code really tries to view you in a more fully electric path, more so than any of the other codes.
Is the assumption the grant funding or things that are possible are going to be provided for people who are meeting these versus ones that are not? When you say future funding opportunities, that
Yes, if you're moving toward, like, the funding opportunities are geared towards complying with updated codes and meeting certain emissions reductions over time, or participating in reducing.
Yeah, because the grants have to be above state minimums, right? So if we're looking at, well, I'll talk about Dr. Harding a little bit, but if we're looking at all the things you can do with that money, you can't just be meeting the state minimums to do it. So.
Right, so by adopting this, you're inherently making yourselves, speaking of, eligible. Next.
No, you kind of spoke to this, but you want to. So
Yeah.
this was the 2021. They just were like, what happened with the cohort last time? Basically electric for her still, but there's more add-on components. There's more nuance and pathways. This one also allows for passive house in a way that our current code doesn't, because passive house is a separate designation. And if someone is going all the way and doing a passive home, they're already meeting an incredible amount of requirements. And so this simplifies it for someone who wants to go above and beyond like that. They just considered more flexibility in terms of what we thought people might want to do and what we would encourage. So similar to last time, but kind of goes even further and is more nuanced.
These next two slides are really just the residential, and then the following one is the commercial cohort amendment comparison between the ICC, the state minimums, and the cohorts, and it just says like what your compliance, like for compliance pathways for prescriptive plus performance, state is no change, and then like Alexis just said, the cohort amendment has a passive house pathway. So it's just kind of highlighting all the things we've already gone over, but showing you in each category what the minimum is in the 2024 code, the state code, and then what the cohort is recommending.
Can you describe the demand response, if you say that's added this year, to what degree are they talking about demand response? You know that in detail.
Do you know that part, Renee?
You know what demand response means?
Yeah. But what are they, it's required for what?
Requiring to sign up with Excel programs.
Yeah, I mean, like the Saver Switch program, it's the demand response program for residential or hooking up your Ecobee thermostat or Nest thermostat. Simply, that's another demand response program.
Then does
So-
that answer your question?
And you got the water heater controls too.
This is one of the questions that we have with actually this code, because we're not sure what it, we know what it means. It means that you have to have a system in your home that it responds to the utility, like the times that are more
Time of use, yeah.
like all of that. And we know that we are charged more during certain hours, but our systems in our houses don't respond to that. So they don't, up the heat when it's in your house, when it's hotter outside and there's more demand. But this requires you to have those.
Fun FYI, four brothers townhouse that we bought downtown. We were signed up for the Excel program, which I'm fine to be a part of. I didn't know it, which could just be not know what I'm signing when I'm buying a house. But all of a sudden, I looked at my thermostat and it's like, what is it? And it's like, it was driven by a lot. And of course, you can override it. It's not a bad program at all.
Yeah. So our question is really just like, how difficult is it to get those systems installed? And what are there options?
Right.
How much more do they cost?
Right.
And
Because
are they standard? It sounds like for Toll Brothers, they are, so that's great.
If you have a Nest or an Ecobee, it's built in. The old system, it was a telephone system.
Right.
But Excel, in those situations, we're making an assumption that this line means sign up with the Excel program. I don't know what else can.
Yeah, that was my question, like what else does it mean?
But the expense is always on the utility side, because they're the ones who are getting the benefit of the less. System.
So everyone's automatically enrolled in time of use with Excel unless you opt out. So that's how it is for everyone. But I think this specifically refers to like the thermostat and having that connected, which sounds like what you have. And we just want to make sure we fully understand the ramifications of what this means and how we would, enforce that and look at that and, Safe Build would check for that and that it's not burdensome for people to do.
And like you said, there's options, like not just one brand, you can use other.
Has an Excel giving you the option to do that, but.
Well, yes. So there are systems that have it. Well, you have it in your house.
Yeah.
I think we talked about the hardware.
But the actual,
There's two, which is confusing. So demand response and like the time of use is just Excel like pricing. Yeah. Yeah.
But I know that they've asked us, would you like to be in this program where we heat up your house when it's hot out? No.
So they pay you.
Well, yeah, you would,
I know, you get, and it'll save you money.
and it changes the system in your house,
Yeah,
you know.
It
Yeah.
actually, actually heats up your house.
Yeah.
When it's wet.
So anyhow, that's what that is, and that's one of our questions with this particular.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good question. And as you can see, yeah, and that's why we're on hour 4 of probably 6 with Safe Built of just the energy codes, because they're dense and we're going line by line.
So fine, point on that. I am pro demand response.
Oh,
And
great.
I think that most of us, if we look into it, detail, we're looking for demand response.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know what this proposed code requires. The assumption is, my assumption requires you to sign up for the Excel program, which is a choice.
Right
And
now.
that might be able to help us.
That's interesting, does it,
Yeah, we need to find out.
yeah.
And so that's why we're asking the question, because it's written in there, but it's not specific to like the steps you would need to take and what that looks like.
How it works.
Some people won't.
They call it,
Sure.
they call, like utility says, we will not call it that because of a high. cost.
But like,
And that will-
for the code, I mean, it doesn't matter if you sign up for Excel's program or not, you have to have an equipment built in to be able to,
I think that's a super low bar.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. And that's a better
I didn't
requirement.
notice you, as long as there's no around it.
Right, that's what we're confirming. Yeah.
They.
We're trying to make sure. Should I flip to commercial?
That makes it a little less onerous.
Is that here in case?
these are kind of the same, potential categories as the residential. There's this EUI performance pathway,
I don't know my marks.
I don't know much about the EUI pathway, performance pathway, I don't. Do you know? about that?
I mean, we just started to do commercial, so we went through all of residential and we're asked our questions and now we're in commercial, so.
I'm not sure exactly what this pathway.
I mean, it's energy use intensity of buildings, so I think it just has, it's like a different performance metric, so the base code uses energy cost, and then the other 2 codes use like basically building energy efficiency performance. So it's a slightly different way of measuring, yeah, it's more in line with sustainability goals, which is why you see it in both the state and the cohort. So it's a little bit complicated. There's a lot of charts, as you can imagine, but it basically shifts how you would define performance from just cost, which also is complicated because energy costs fluctuate over time. It's not like a set standard, whereas EUI is a little more consistent over time. So again, there's parts that try and simplify this, but will also align with our goals.
And then the renewable energy section is interesting, in the ICC, it's required in prescriptive path, and then in the state, in the cohort, it's removed the requirement for renewable energies. We've decided that we asked the question, but we're assuming that the removal of the requirement for renewable energy. It's a lot of R's. Because they're really trying to encourage you to go electric and not get extra credits for other pathways while also having gas.
Yeah, so they kind of had to make trade-offs in the points, and now as Excel's grid gets cleaner and cleaner, that's the reason we want people to electrify, right? And so instead of, before you could get like 9 points for solar, it bumps it down to 3 to encourage people to get their points from electrifying versus just installing solar and saying, call it good. Yeah. Okay. Oh, here we go. There's a slide on equity. Do you want to talk about it?
Here you go. Higher performance, lower cost, more comfort, healthier air through electrification.
Inside and outside. So we didn't talk about indoor air quality, but you know, natural gas appliances inside.
Yes. And then it supports our goals for climate resiliency and not sure what a just transition is, but I assume because we're going regionally, the like transition is just easier and more simplified, and we're applying it equally across.
It's just usually like, it's not just all local, which people look at.
All right, other codes.
So along with the lecture, the IECC cohort amendment code package, we are also adopting the 2024 building codes for residential, commercial, mechanical, fuel and gas, and plumbing. There's a state code requirement to adopt a wildland urban interface RUBI code. It applies to certain locations, certain properties in the town. And so we'll be looking at that at the same time.
Is
And
that
then
like flood insurance, like it's applying only to certain?
Oh,
properties?
yeah,
I mean, that
yeah.
analogy. to-
Yeah.
We have to figure it out, because the way that other plays, as some parts of our creek, but not anymore at all, which.
it applies to some houses in Taiwan. There's like, yeah, the way it applies though is like, it applies to this house, but not the house next door.
So we have to make community.
It applies to two houses in a court and none of the rest of that neighborhood. Like this is very, the map is what is the problem. It's not the code.
Yeah.
And so applying it becomes more difficult. And enforcing it. If you wanted to go like townwide, the enforcement mechanism becomes really. There's a lot of discussion that one.
So there will be movie sounds.
Yeah.
It's gonna change the way that looks.
And then we're updating our electric vehicle code. So there's a state model code for electric vehicle charging stations, and then there's also a state requirement to on how to allow charging stations on existing buildings. Our code doesn't speak to how to put a charging station at your house or in a parking lot of an existing commercial business. Right, but like we just allow those things. Like you just apply for a building permit and you can have a charging station at your house. Or Target applied for a building permit and we allowed them to put charging stations in the parking lot. So it's not explicitly written in our code, and the state wants to know how we allow people to do those things. So we're going to be amending our electric vehicle code to mostly match the state model code. There's some nuances. So our existing code is really requires a lot. The model code requires less, and we're going to recommend something we need to. We brought that to you like the way we drafted it. I think it was in July of last year.
Yeah, it's been a year, so we've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah. So we brought the code amendment to you, but probably not any.
No, there's some people, I don't know, I think you were here too.
Yeah.
So. It's okay. Yeah.
The longest year of years.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but we did talk about it and it's still.
I just had a question about that.
Yeah.
Because I have an electric vehicle, I have the charging in our house, and we have solar. So it's great, it costs us nothing to drive a car basically. But I hope you're not gonna make it harder.
No, not at all. We just have to state that that it goes to building permit. Like in our code, we just need to say that in order to add a charging station in your residential home.
It's the 2024 IEC.
EV charging is separate than the energy code. It's a specific code that's different for new, and then, yeah, so there's new development that is covered, and then we're not adding we're not changing the requirements at all, we're just explaining how you do it.
Oh, yeah, you do it.
Yeah.
Because people have to get a permit.
So-
Yeah, get the building permit,
More people could do this without having to get a permit.
I mean, technically
Well,
they need to get a permit, but like,
Yeah.
But they
Hey,
can't.
but it's not
Until
explicitly
you have-
written in our code that you
Oh,
have
okay,
to
so
get.
to clarify.
Exactly.
It's kind of mind, if you're talking to like general public on this stuff, I think you're kind of making a mountain out of a molehill here. I mean, like, so your charger is still up to code.
Right.
The load is coming through that truck, right? So you still have to have a permit. The only thing, like, the plug you plug in, there's two versions of that plug, and I don't think code dictates which version that you have to use for each charger, and that's a real big issue, but I'm not going to come forward with it. So that's the thing.
There might be they have all these appendices and it might be in an appendices to the energy code. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Basically, they'll make it harder.
They will make it harder.
They won't make it harder.
It's essentially strengthening the code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like saying.
Yeah,
exactly.
Uncovered. That's fine with it.
Yeah.
I see that article that showed how much it costs to operate an EV if you charge at home versus if you use the high charge.
Oh,
She is not.
And it's way cheaper than a gas car.
But that is through the just transition.
Sorry,
Right,
For us,
sorry.
but it's-
Yeah, people can't.
The last slides are on our, Dr. Cog, grant opportunity, so.
Do you want me to talk about these? So as part of our participation in, used to be FURBN, for those of you that remember the Front Range Beneficial Electrification Network, it became our grant that was granted through Dr. Cog, which is a $200+ million grant from the EPA. And there's one component of it that relates to building policy specifically. And all communities in the Dr. Cog region have an allocation that's based on population size. So we have $300,000. Oh, and sorry, this is about the grant. This slide is about all the different things that this grant covers. So there's workforce pieces, there's rebates and incentives that are supposed to be coming next year. There's energy advising, there's a communications piece. There's a bunch of amazing pieces to this grant that have not taken shape yet. But the piece that is ready to go is the building policy piece. And that's where we have $300,000 for the town of Superior for the next 4 years. So 2026 to 2029. However, it's a very narrow grant. And the original intention and thought was that we'd be able to go back to the EPA and adjust things slightly as things formed up. However, at this point, as you can imagine, we're not touching it at all. We don't want to give them any reason to take that money back. Well, it's reimbursable. So, but the grant agreement is already in place, so it's already been awarded, but they feel confident about it, you know, it's. I have heard that, yeah, so basically, this has also informed our application, right? As you can imagine, not only is it a narrow slice of things that you can fund, but we have to be really, really careful that everything that we're talking about, we know could go away, right? So basically, we're looking at three things. We're looking at increasing Safe Build's capacity to do a really thorough job on energy codes above and beyond what they're required to do for us. So it's actually going to involve us partnering with North Glen to have most of a staff position just focused on energy code, to help look at the processes of how they're reviewing this, help train other people, just make sure that as we adopt these new energy codes, they can advise us better. They can train their teams to really meet them, because most building inspectors are not energy code experts, as you can imagine, and neither are inspectors. So really increasing that capacity, and it's really great to have a partner city on that to encourage them to do that, and they've been a great partner. We are looking to hire a part-time staff person. They can only work on building and code policy. And a lot of people are hiring these staff people, so it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. But we're excited. They would help us manage the grant. They would help us from our side look at our systems in a Superior specific way related to building policy. They would help advise on what we might consider next.
Could you share that stuff with another tenant? So when you say part-time,
I suppose we could. I don't know anyone else who's,
Being on like just a part-time staff member, a be shared between sustainability and planning and do this very specific work. I think there's enough.
Yeah.
There's enough work, especially if we go back through to see, like, we don't know where we're at in our rebuilds, I mean, we have requirements, but we don't know what level of anyone met. There's no.
we do know what level they meant for energy code, but we don't know like the specifics of who installed heat pumps, and they can go back through all the permit data.
Right.
Our green building code could use a refresh, so they can look at all that stuff for us, which is great from a policy perspective.
You would find that person in the job force that would want to work on this.
I think what we're kind of, how we're thinking of distinguishing ourselves is I think this is gonna be a lot of a research position. Because we're partnering with Safe Build to be more of the energy code experts. I think most communities are looking for someone who really has that deep expertise on codes. And I think we're looking for someone who can comb through the data, who can do research, who can advise us, and who can understand energy codes, but they don't have to have that same technical depth, which I agree might be hard to hire part-time. So we're trying to think about this, but it's also tricky because it is a grant funded position. So,
Can I ask you a question? It says application due 31st.
yep,
But, we've already got the money.
no, we don't. So it's allocated, we have to apply for it still and tell them how we're gonna use it, and they have to check and make sure all the uses are allowable. So we still have to apply even though it's allocated, that we can have up to $300,000. And some communities are not applying. There will be a round 2 of DRCOG funds for what's left over, where people can apply for different amounts, still in the same narrow wheelhouse, but I mean, $300,000 is a lot allocated for Superior. Correct.
Thank you for the information there and pushing forward.
Yes. And we also allocated some for technical assistance so that if this person has less depth, we can partner with some consultants or other people to help advise us, especially as we do future code updates. And then between Safe Build and the staff person, they will also help with community engagement. We're not applying for specific funds related to that, but these positions will do that. So we still started.
I was like, we don't start community engagement. It's like we're not doing it, but we're actually doing it through these other avenues, like through the staff. And
Well, I think that's important. So I was talking about like, FY 123, that having that forward-facing person, meeting people where they are, know there's people where they are, is really important for success.
So part of what Safe Build can do is work with contractors more specifically on this, host education specifically for that, and also do more handholding for residents. Energy code can be confusing, and we want someone who specifically understands this, can advise someone, help them do these things. And that's above and beyond what they have capacity for now.
So, I just want to make sure this.
Yeah.
Working with Safe Code on the Safe Build on the application.
No, they're gonna be, we receive the funds and then it's subawarded to them. We will pay them.
Once you get.
Yep. Okay, I think that's the last one.
Yep.
And I think we
went through all of it.
that's our questions, I think, so.
Thank you very much. I know that's a lot of work. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So where does it go from here? Do you guys go present this to council or?
We're still going through the amendments that are recommended by the cohort. We spent, like Alexis said, probably 4 out of 6 hours on the energy code itself. We've sent some questions to Lotus, who drafted these recommendations, just so that we can make sure before we adopt and recommend adopting the package, so we know what how it pertains to Superior specifically.
Yeah.
So we're still going through it, but the idea, our plan is to adopt the package, hopefully.
Assuming it makes sense. So we're not done with that full analysis. We want to make sure every part of it makes sense. We need to look at the equity concerns of not raising costs prohibitively.
Yeah.
We need to really look at all of the impacts like holistically. But so far, because we helped shape these things, we feel pretty confident that we're going to end up recommending that. And then if we didn't do that, we'll recommend the state code, which is still more aggressive than the base code. And the perks of either one of those is that it's a code book, it's specific. Right now we've done specific amendments, and just for that consistency regionally, either way, I think both of those are still a sustainability win.
And that'll happen, and then, like, the actual adoption will be brought to council.
Yep. And it's gonna be, we're trying to do all the code together because code is a lot, as you can imagine, and there's a lot of questions, so. Yep.
Easier and harder to do them all at once. Preparation is harder, but the process is easier, and I think it just makes more sense to bring them all, have all the questions, and make a nice new code, package of codes that we move into the future with. All right.
Thanks, Renee. I appreciate you.
Guys, thank you. Good luck with that. Maybe we took a long time.
No, that was really.
Is this person part of the team too? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, River's the main point of contact. I mean, we can ask. Yeah, there's River there. So maybe, yeah, let's go and elevate them.
Yeah, they're,
And then, hey,
Yeah.
all right. And yep, there's River, and then, hey, Phoebe. Hey, thanks for being patient. As you're learning, sometimes these meetings kind of, agendas go long, they go short, all the above. So, just to do a quick introduction, I met with River and Phoebe and a couple others, right, River? We talked through some concepts about a replacement for our spinning wheel. And to be something more expansive to cover other topics for sustainability action plan. And they're going to get credit for this project for an engineering project, freshman engineering projects class. And if you want to come see this, she's going to go over the prototype and stuff right now. If you want to see this product live before it makes its way to Superior, the engineering expo is at CE on Saturday. And it's open to the public. And if you want to be a judge, you can be a judge too. So Mindy's always looking for judges. So, all right, River, let's turn it over to you and Phoebe, and yeah, this is the ACES group here. So.
Yeah, thank you guys for letting us join you tonight. This has been really interesting. So as Jim was already saying, we're a first year projects class at CU Boulder, and we're trying to make some client projects and be able to have a deliverable by mid-November. So we're already about 2.5 weeks into this project, and we're redoing the spinning wheels that you guys use at different public events. And if I can share my screen here, oh, I guess I can't. But what we're making right now,
I might be able to let you. Hold on.
I think she can change that.
Let's see. Hold on 1 second. I think if I make you a co-host, then you can.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I have to make you a co-host here. So
Is that what River?
if you can share your screen now.
oh yeah, yes, this is great. Okay. Can you guys see this?
Yep, yes, we can.
Okay, so this is what we've made so far. This is just a prototype, but essentially the ball should work. There's a spring-loaded release on the right here. The ball will shoot up, and then it'll come in, and it'll go through a different series. We have these mechanical arms that will move it. And the goal is that either it'll go between the two arms or the ball will fall into one of the holes. And then depending on where it goes, we think that that'll determine the question that you guys will then ask. So there will ideally be LED lights that'll light up. So if it falls in the top right hole, it'll light up red. And then that will mean the person who's engaging with it gets a question from the red pile. We think that this will allow you guys to have a wider variety of questions from each of your different sustainability points. Phoebe's going to explain a little bit more of the mechanics of it. But yeah, we just want to hear what you guys have to say. If there's any comments, things that you guys think we should improve or change based on your experience with the, thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper of what you said. So we're looking at, it's basically a pinball machine. We're hoping to keep it mostly mechanic. So basically it'll hopefully will help it to not break as much, be helpful, you can fix it, have interchangeable parts. We'll come in with some replacement parts. So the knobs on the end or the levers, we'll have replacement parts for you. And then we're hoping for the board design to keep it very sustainability themed. We're hoping maybe mountains, maybe this, keep it very custom to Town Superior, which I think would be really cool. And then we're mostly if you guys have any comments, questions, or like any suggestions or ideas, we'd love to incorporate it. Like we would think it'd be so much fun. And if there's any part of the sustainability action plan that you like make sure we want us to hit, like please let us know. We're trying to get like a little bit of every little piece of it, you know, a little bit on the waste, a little bit on the energy consumption, and hopefully just get, you know, a lot more engagement. So yeah, hopefully it's short and sweet.
Awesome, yeah.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Yeah, of course.
Totally.
First of all, how did you get to this point? I'm amazed. So how did you get there?
I don't know, like a idea base. I think this was Ben's idea. We were just like, oh, that could be so cool, especially like making it custom. Like we could do a lot with the board. We do a lot with the questions, so we got really excited with that. I think we were looking at the levers were pretty fun to make. I mostly did the levers. They're like spring loaded at the bottom, like River said, and yeah, I don't know. It was a lot of fun to make. I really enjoyed it.
I think we just wanted something that would be really like attractive to people who are walking by, because we heard that a lot in the comments from you guys, that you wanted something more like attentive, get people engaged. So yeah, that was the intention of this design.
Amazing. That's great. Yes. You know, a lot of the people that come to our booths have kids
Mhm.
and they just love pinball. I mean, that was my favorite thing when I was a teenager. And we want to engage at all levels. And even adults like me will love to play this.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah, so I think just thinking about, like Lisa said, there's a lot of kids that come, so making sure that it is durable for,
Yeah.
you know, someone walking up and not necessarily knowing how to do it, or if there's instructions, we should give people letting us know that. And I think just thinking about like how it'll, either do we like prop it up on the table, do we lay it down? Maybe you already know that, but just like whatever you can tell us to make sure we're using it really well would be so helpful.
Yeah. So like in the future, it's gonna have obviously durability. Like we were harping on that. Like it needs to be like basically bomb proof. Which so we want the levers on the side. We want to be able to like hammer it, and it's gonna be totally okay. So we're hoping for a really sturdy base. So like if it falls off the table, no worries. That's our end goal. It's just yeah, it can hold.
I would like, just as a suggestion, to get that flexibility, if there was some place that you had either Velcro that we could add something and change out the theme. Because part of the thing with the spinning wheel, it gets kind of old, like you said. So if we had a backing that we could put a Velcro and change the vertical backdrop or something like that, and somewhere we can hook something to, that would be helpful, because we could change it out depending on what the holiday is, the season, the picture. Yeah.
Would you guys like want something like maybe like Christmas themed or like July 4th themed? We could make it a bit more customizable, definitely.
Yeah, something we can change it out, because we will reuse this over and over,
Mhm.
and keep it fresh to people. When they see it, they'll see it. We can change out that backdrop each time. So yeah, they'll say, "Oh yeah, the pinball," but now this is the theme.
Yeah.
And it allows us to have that flexibility and keeps it fresh.
Yeah, we'll keep that in mind. That's a great idea.
I understand the engagement method, right, where you said that like the ball is gonna end up in like one of three places or something, and then depending on where the ball goes, that will go to the color of a card. So like we would have the coastal card. So the card would be the thing that you could update, like
Exactly, we would definitely update the card. What I'm saying is when they come to the table, when they see a different backdrop, because we have something we can change and like slide on, like some kind of connector that we could change out that backing or whatever it is, like a wraparound visual, because that will be able to attract more people. Right?
The other thing I like about this over our spinning wheels, people always thought, oh, I spin and I win something, right? Instead of, you get.
They do come over. They just love to spin it.
Yeah,
It's
but
your
they
prize.
love to spin it.
They
Love to play.
Maybe they could design a super hard bowl that if you get the ball in the hole, you get a candy bar.
Yes.
Something like that. And every other
Yeah.
hole is a question of sustainability that you have to answer the correct question
Right.
in order to get a candy bar or a orange or whatever you got.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, at least you know we always give out something if they answer correctly.
Yes.
That where it is.
Yeah, we try to give out stuff that doesn't create waste.
Yeah.
Create another apple.
Exactly.
That's
I love it,
awesome.
it's amazing.
Yeah, I think, what a great
I'm
idea.
excited to see.
Yeah, well, some of the design constraints, just so you guys are in the loop on, is they have to design on a spec and design specs like you do in design development. Is, we want, I asked them to fit it inside of a 2-foot cube. So it could be tabletop and it could be easy to be stored. We also asked that it be power self-sufficient, so the charge will have, if we do all those plug and buy. And then, ultimately, how it's all done, because to your point, a spinning wheel is nice and vertical. People see it. If you set something that's on the horizontal plane, it won't attract people. So obviously, a pinball machine, you do have to have a tilt to it, because gravity is part of the process of pinball. So.
Cool. Will it have any noise? You know how? Or it's gonna have lights.
We don't need noise.
We don't need noise.
No, because we're talking.
Okay, you don't want noise.
I mean, are you guys planning on adding some flashy lights and some bling to it, or? What's your
Yeah,
plan?
at the moment we're working on adding flashing lights around the hole. So when the ball goes into the hole, it'll like light up a color.
Flashing lights would be great. We don't need any sound. Because
No, we don't. Okay.
when we're in a room or outside, it's noisy.
Yeah, that's a good.
So the lights is perfect.
Yeah, visual is good.
But I would say like being careful, not that you would have like strobe light flashing on there, but like nothing that would trigger someone who's really photosensitive on an event, but like, you know, the flare, yeah. Yeah.
But I can see a lot of you, so do we have to wait till the semester's over to get a hold of this?
You don't know.
Yeah, what's the timeline?
In November, it should be done.
Yeah, because each means that I'm tabling in December for the Three Sisters sustainable gift wrapping. I would love to use the sustainable gift wrapping.
You guys want to come to our event and see and use it?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Well, do you guys have any, Phoebe, River, do you have any questions for us or anything you want to ask us about?
No, we love the feedback. That's mostly what we came here for. We love that.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for letting us share.
Yeah, thank you for being so excited. That makes us so excited.
Yeah.
I'm happy to work on it.
A lot of excitement in this room. So.
Yes, this is really cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, River, Phoebe. Of course, you guys are welcome to hang out for the rest of the meeting.
No pressure, no pressure.
So, we'll judge you if you leave.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I do have to run, but thank you like so much.
Thank you guys.
Have a nice night. See you guys.
Awesome.
Cool.
So cool. Thanks for bringing that in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
It's really neat.
It's fun. That's good stuff.
Oh, boy, it was just up there, but I don't know. Well, we'll get it to you.
No, my wife works in engineering, office engineering, and she oversees the freshman project process.
Oh, that's how integrated.
Well, her program is integrated design engineer, but actually all freshman engineers have to take the freshman project class. And all of them have to build some sort of project. A lot of them are service-based learning projects, helping everything from local governments, police stations. They've done work for the fire department here before. Also assisted people with needs. So it's like a certain handicap that someone has. They'll build a device that helps get them around that handicap. And so yeah, it's every year it's just new projects.
So they get a budget, right?
Yeah, they get a budget but they pay for this out of their own pocket.
Yeah. Really?
So, yeah, but they have a budget that they're trying to keep like $50 a kid. But they asked if they could make it out of recyclable materials. I said, yes. That goes with the theme and that will save you guys money. So yeah, this is their prototype. They just made it out of cardboard.
Do they need access to materials like plexiglass and stuff like that?
I can ask. I mean, I know they do keep the stock. Like electronics, modems, plastic, and then they have they have 3D printers up there on campus and all kinds of, and they have all sorts of stuff. Yeah, they do the whole workshop. Well, the thing is, a lot of these students take this class their first semester, and none of them have any basic electronics, any basic anything. By the end of it, these guys are, designing apps. They're using all kinds of electronics, and I could go on for a while, but yeah, mark your calendars on the 15th of November. I know that's a Saturday, but I might reach out to see if judges.
Oh, cool.
November 15th up on campus. All right, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. It's open the end of every semester. They have the expo. It's great for kids. Like if you have kids, a lot of the projects are geared towards kids.
Sure.
And kids get to enjoy it all. So, okay, we got to keep on moving. I got to stop. Okay, Fall Fest volunteers.
Oh, so as most of you know, I think, we are doing our last Every Scrap Matters experience at Fall Fest, which is going to be a wonderful, huge event. It's basically the Louisville Farmers Market plus more Superior specific stuff. It is on Saturday, October 18th coming up. It is from 9 to 1. And we will have staff at the booth, but Aces kind of talked about maybe cycling through different points. So I just wanted to see if anyone was planning to come at any point, even if you came for an hour, no pressure, but there's going to be, I think, a lot of people at this particular one. So if anyone is available, even to stop by and be part of that. I know we had John stop by last time, Patrick stopped by, and Michelle was there, it was great last time.
Okay. I have a friend in town, so
Okay.
she's an engineer too.
Well, you're on a casual stop by is what I'm hearing. Okay.
I can probably be there.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, it's on the 18th.
there's a protest something?
Oh, that's the.
Or is that just the every Saturday?
Just like 10 a.m. versus 11 a.m.
Is it more No Kings?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dang it.
Heads up.
Yeah. No, I might. That's a good, I forgot those were the same day.
Quite coordinated, but the test one's every Saturday.
Yeah.
That's probably the test was still happening. Exactly, small, but it's happening. But this one she's talking about. Oh, that's good.
That's the big one, yeah.
How it's coordinated, it's a bit, and I imagine with larger turnout. The last time, so.
Yeah, that makes
Your
sense.
event is spanning the whole.
Oh, John said he can come to.
Great.
Yeah, there's so many.
All right, so to keep that theme going, now we need holiday event swag.
So is this for our?
Well, this was gonna be a motion for the wrapping paper if y'all want. Because we don't have quorum, you can't do a motion for budget, but I think if we'll put it on the next meeting agenda, assuming, you have budget for this if y'all would like. So assuming you would like that again.
The wrapping clause.
So I think the rechargeable batteries, I think having two so people can pick was really helpful based on their needs. Rechargeable batteries like AA's and the recharging. So if they're a family with kids and they remote control devices like that, they tend to we'll offer them both, but they tend to pick that. But we encourage them to not buy alcohol batteries.
We already.
No, you haven't. So you can do it next meeting and I will, you approved leaf bags and the eco liter budget, but we didn't talk about holiday swag yet. So if you approve it next time, I can order them immediately after and hopefully get stuff in time. This would just give us more time, but unfortunately we can't motion for it. But you can know what we're talking about for Martin next month.
Yeah, I was gonna.
We did already. I did that on purpose.
Really?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
It was a four,
So,
it was good. Email them
John and
What is form? We just need one more.
quorum, yeah, it's 5. It's the majority of 9. So you have,
Smiles, so you can hop on for me?
sure, Yeah.
45 minutes.
yeah.
So you don't have that.
Well, and even if you came in at the end, I don't want to make you, the work plan can also go over to next time. We purposely kind of stretch it out in case there's more. But I think that one just, there's lag times and shippings and other stuff.
To your point about swag.
Yes.
Miles is getting
I know, I don't know what's gonna come out of here.
Alright.
Miles has been waiting to raffle us at the holiday event, which is the first Saturday in December. We are here with the sister cities holiday bazaar, and they allow us to have a table. But Mile had given me these. These are, you know, when you go grocery shopping for fruit, instead of taking the plastic bags, you use these reusable bags, and they're washable. So, I would like to suggest that we throw a few of these in our order, because they're cheaper, I think, than
Okay.
these, gift wrap. So the reusable fruit, vegetable.
I just love the blue screen vegetables in the cupboard. That's why I haven't had
It comes from the table and put in,
Yeah, I suggested those in the house and you said, oh, those are useless. I never use them.
I can use this.
No, but my just put them in, I like to get fruit in there and let it be dirty.
Yeah.
And wash it when I'm done. And then and help me down on that.
Well, that's what he's done here. You can give them to us, so I think. But I think these are useful.
So what is this bag?
It is a bag for like your fruits when you go, instead of pulling the plastic bag.
Yeah, no, I'm not thinking of it.
So when people.
What's this bag?
Obviously, this is like in.
No, I got stuff like that.
He's not a bread.
But we would never give it
No. So this is gonna sound really heavy, but I started using those bags for like tons of lettuce and all that stuff. And an interesting correlation is I found that my lettuce would wilt faster in those bags and my vegetable.
You're not leaving them in there, don't leave them in the back.
No, then you hear the rest of my story. It wilts faster than it does in a piece of plastic bag.
Yeah, it will, because that's where it's at, so don't leave them in the bag in your vegetable.
Well, even without the bag, they wilt faster. They won't slow us when they're.
I'll send you the video, you're supposed to put some things in it. I'll send you.
Well, I'm talking about big head of romaine lettuce.
So what
Yeah.
you get,
Leave them in the plastic bag.
The plastic bag, it wilts slower.
reusable.
Plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of plastic.
Yeah, keep them.
Yeah.
Am I the one that doesn't use those bags?
I know, I'm just always throwing it right in, yeah.
Well, no, I don't even get bags anymore. I just don't.
You check out, and then you weigh the bag, yes, you take it by the good stuff.
All right.
Yeah, they charge you.
Right, so that's where, yeah. But, you know, the other thing is, they don't, to your point, I think one thing we could put on our table is how to preserve food during holiday gatherings in the fridge. There's a one pager. That might be something that we would add to this, because to your point, what party, it's got all this food and then they're like fidgets,
So
definitely.
action item for the working group
Yeah.
is figure out where that is or make me that. And then we can put it on the table for Michelle.
I think that's a good deal.
I've made notes. I will send it to Martin for next time if Miles doesn't join us. Then you can make that motion, or I'll see if we can do it via email. That would be great. So
So moving on, your eco leader update.
Michelle, do you want me to give this update or do you want to give this update?
Okay.
So Michelle and I have continued to meet with the eco leaders. We got a refined scope from them, being really clear that the motion that ACE has made, this would just be the setting the stage work from now through the end of this year to really build up the database of superior eco leaders to help us host a couple different events as well as table at a couple different events. So really excited about that. And then on the 30th of October from 5:30 to 7:30, 5 to 8 is us, at the civic space, we're going to do an eco leader training. So we'll be promoting that.
This is what we're talking about. Well,
Yes.
Correct.
And so the night before, October 20th, is State of Superior Oasis in Town South at the civic space. We're the next night, probably in the same civic space.
Mhm.
And then the next night is Halloween, so that week will be very busy. But it's encourage everybody, it's a week of activities, and you get that, yeah. No,
I don't know. I think it's here.
It's here, it's earlier.
Yeah.
It's earlier. It's
It's downtown, like the fountain and that little square, the building. Yeah.
It's a great new space.
Yeah, and it will be all set up from State Superior, so we'll have a big screen we can put stuff on. It's actually great for us. And so it's in the big upstairs space. If y'all haven't been, there's a big stage. We can set up with chairs. It's really good. We'll have snacks.
We're gonna do activities. I was working with Lex on some activities.
Okay.
To do like as people come in.
Great.
And it should be fun. And then we want to have an extra session for families
Yes.
to be determined, to be scheduled.
Yeah. Trying to avoid all the holiday season, but it's hard where we are.
I think January might be a good.
Yeah, so we're looking at maybe January for that. But
It's too crazy.
Well, it's 15 minutes.
okay, well, that's perfect. Michelle is,
Time routine right now.
Yeah.
got it.
Like, we got over 40.
Right.
Well, Michelle is representing all bases for eco leaders, but we'll keep reporting back.
The, like Sharon, who works at EcoCycle. Oh. Is a bad helper. That right. So I've done eco leader training for the town of Superior, back in 2016, 2016. So we have a list of about 38 on our old list. I know some of those people have moved already out of town, just a person over 3 times. But, so that's why we're gonna get, the people sign up, and I was like, oh, sign up.
They forgot.
So they go to EcoCycle's website, and sign up, and then we love them, so we're seekers. Yeah, through EcoCycle. And so as an eco leader, their role is to get more education on what's recyclable, what's compostable, and zero waste behaviors, and then put them into practice and then help their neighbors, kind of like a block captain. So that way they can pass out more information, be a conduit for questions. Our bigger questions next year are going to come with extended producer responsibility, and it looks like they're going to allow wrapping paper in as one of the materials. That's going to be allowed.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, despite Boulder County's suggestions. But this is statewide, so that is why. So there will be some changes. So having our Every Scrap Matters campaign for the compost, I think is brilliant because we can use that tagline for other things down the road, like every scrap of metal recycled makes a difference. You know, every scrap of paper, or they don't gift wrap instead of paper. So we can use that tagline often. I can see it down the road that we're going to get mileage out of that campaign for other zero waste behaviors. Like for instance, behaviors, we did this at the first Ecotober. We partnered with the city of Louisville. They had it in the city of Lafayette. They had their table swap outs. So instead of buying toothpaste in a tube, buy toothpaste tablets. That way you don't have the tube as the plastic waste. Instead of, other things. Instead of taking plastic bags, use these or don't take any bags at all. So there's a bunch of those behaviors as people start getting to pay as you throw and trying to reduce their trash. This is some of the behaviors that will reduce that from the trash. So it's all connected. So by having eco leaders and block captains really helps, and we get so many ideas when we spread this. People bring back ideas on how to live more sustainably. So given in this age of cutbacks on rebates for energy and stuff, we're going to need to know things that are simple, things that everybody can do.
Sure. That's good stuff.
You know?
All right. Is there anything else on the goals, or is that covered? Thanks, Michelle. Now we're on to the biggie.
Okay.
It's the 2026 bill.
Oh, boy. All right, hold on.
That's a big draw.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's all good.
Yeah.
No, really appreciate your time here.
I'll work things next. So that's okay.
Yep.
And if there's a moment to leave now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you will see this work plan maybe again next month and definitely as council.
No.
Before I used to have the backup to know that like, they will pay us eventually, but.
We'll take it all. That's not any.
All right, Jen, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Everybody.
Okay, well, you all know, I was gonna give John the whole spiel, but he's not here, so, he's coming back though,
Right.
okay. I'll give him the spiel in a minute, but just to orient you really quickly, I took the 2025 work plan. Jim and I talked about it a little bit, and we remembered what we were trying to go through, what worked well and what didn't before. So this is y'all's work plan, but I did go ahead and redline some things that were not relevant anymore and make a few suggestions based on what I think is coming.
Did you send that? first?
Yes, the link is in that,
The one I thought was no.
It's
Well-
not attachment, it's on the Dropbox.
Oh, in the Dropbox.
it's in the Dropbox, and I did note, I didn't mark it up until today. I've been too busy to mark it up. And so if you looked, oh, he's left. If you looked at it before when I sent it from that link, then it wasn't marked up before. Because I had gotten it. That's what I mean. Okay, well, you did a great job. So John, just to orient you really quickly, we pulled up the 2025 work plan. Jim and I met about it earlier. We were remembering what happened and what worked well in other years. So I went ahead and I redlined things that just were not relevant anymore. And I made a couple suggestions, but this is ACE's work plan. So this is specifically things that, ACE's overseas works on, et cetera, year to year. A lot of things I think are the same, but there's a few new items. And just to kind of speak to, Patrick had a great question, his orientation about the difference between the staff work plan and the ACE's work plan. So staff's work plan is like the operational day-to-day. ACE's is the pieces that you work on. Of course, on big policies, there's going to be overlapping pieces, but these are specifically like ACE's is kind of pivoted to what you can specifically accomplish in a year. It used to be like everything just in case you could get to it. And that's a fine approach too. It's really up to you all what you want on here, what you specifically as a committee can move forward and work on your own, basically, of course, with my support in these meetings, but that's kind of the big picture. And again, everything's kind of suggestions in here. We can go through all of it at once. We can just look at the changing pieces. I don't know. You all tell me, this is your plan, so you tell me what you think might be helpful.
What do you guys think?
I think we should go through and look at what didn't work, and what we put on our plan last year that didn't work.
So you want
Kind
to
of that first
go,
lens.
so start with the first one.
Okay.
Still wait a minute to read it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like the middle one, promote residential and commercial energy audits. To Alexis's point, she's been promoting in our Superior, her Sustainable Way newsletter, which is great. And then, I did ask at the senior breakfast in October if I could have a couple minutes to explain it, and Kate Archer gave me the floor. So I got to talk to all the attendees, and I asked them, how many of you have had an energy audit? About 4 people out of 40 raised their hand. And then I offered at the end of the meeting for them to come see me, and I can put them to the website where those are. Nobody came to see me. So Jim and I were talking in our pre-meeting, our little working session. I think we should keep that one on. But I think what we've seen is email communication only goes so far. I think we have to meet our seniors where they are, and that would be people too, not just our senior citizens. So I think if we put this on, we'll continue it, but with the addition of more targeted outreach to certain groups.
How do you feel about, I added the hosting informal office hours events?
That would be
Exactly. So
That would be
the red line, I tried to capture what I heard from ACES last time that you all want to do. And so that is one piece that I added.
would need people.
How can we promote, like, I think the residential side is always
Mhm.
naturally a target sector due to beats and all that stuff. How
Yeah.
can we help promote the commercial side? And,
And I think like,
well, my only
if
thought-
you talk to business owner, I don't,
Well, I'm just, it's bringing pause, it's a, concept, it's a great, but is that where we need to bring like Renee Almes in here, the president of the whole chamber and businesses, or do we need to go do an outreach event at their next, black tie affair? Like where can we connect?
I think that would be good,
I mean, I also got a lot of the businesses are chains, right? So we can't go tell Costco to do energy god, like, oh, we got to talk to RGC Williams, who's based in Washington. And we're already doing it or something like that. So I'm just trying to think what it looks good, but what does it actually mean?
I think to your point, I think a lot of the big box stores are doing things already, and maybe we should get to know what they're doing. So we can, agree, you know, and promote that, and say, hey, they're doing this. So I think that's part of this. I agree that we should add something or involving the chamber of commerce.
Do you want me to, so I feel like that's kind of a separate section, maybe? I don't know, or are you specifically thinking about on energy? Just to clarify.
Everything on energy.
Okay.
Just because it's simple, it's doable, and we learn from the very first time we do this.
You can probably, and when you, like, new businesses coming in, that's.
Well, I thought Renee, right? Remember when she did that presentation a couple months ago? Right, wasn't that Renee? And she was talking about how like the pier has these pillars of doing
Yeah.
business in town and, you know, businesses in theory, they do this. And we also have to do that.
If you like the town council meetings, it really helps having. Because he asks all those questions when they bring up the new businesses.
That helps.
Really awesome. Which is important. Encouraging more businesses to get on.
That's why codes are important.
If it's required. Yeah.
Yes, because it's hard to get big change, which tends to be what Spirit has to make those changes.
So what about all like the downtown businesses where they've got all those empty spaces they need to fill?
I know it's tough because the businesses are responsible for building those out and then they're already built, so.
And they have to put all the utilities.
They have to pay trees and all that.
So maybe that just brings up a bigger picture thought of like any other groups we should try to cross pollinate. Like examples, like I did finally meet up with the park. And talked about water efficiency around parks and stuff. And I was like a one-on-one, so we stayed under the umbrella of like a meeting, publishing minutes and all that kind of stuff. But Alexis, can you think of any groups in the town that would make sense for us to try to meet with? I'm not thinking like every single committee or things like that.
I think for business, the chamber's the right group and we've tried to partner more closely with them. You know, also is working on green business. I'm hoping that's something this new person will kind of take to the next level with them. I think that, you know, Nikki did a great job on ACE's behalf of, you know, kind of getting some of this on the radar. She tabled on behalf of ACE's last year. You know, ACE's recommended we do the green business sword. I think we funded it as the town, and that was also with the chamber. So I think we're talking about business as a chamber. I think we have Park and OSAC on here under the water and resilience section.
Okay.
And I mean, those are the main like in
I
town
think those are like
ones.
that would be my show.
And like HOAs, I mean, that shows up a number of times here, and water conservation.
What about the planning? Just like codes drive what they.
Well, the planning commission does look at all the new projects.
Well,
coming
they
to town.
do, and I know they're kind of like the first gate before it goes to council, right?
Well, they're the second gate. The first gate is staff. So I review every like new development request and make sustainability comments. And planning has kindly coached me through all the different ways that I can do that, but we can recommend they go above code. This is the reason it's so important to have codes, is because we can encourage all the behaviors we want, but unless we require it, it's not required, right?
There's also that sustainability spec we talked about for all of RFPs that, you know, that I shared with you from Gold.
That would be like an internal staff process.
But is there any way ACES can help on that, or should that show up on here?
You could put it on there. I mean, it would, I guess what I would say about that is that's really like a staff work item.
Well, I think it is.
And unfortunately, ACES, so this is the separation. ACES can advise on council, you can explore things, but for it to be on my work plan, that's set partially by it's like a town manager staff direction. And that's something that we don't currently have on our work plan. And so it's not that ACES couldn't advocate for that. Council could say, we want staff to do this, and then we could be directed to do that. And I'm not saying we won't ever do that, because I think it's a really good idea. And we do have some procurement language, but what you're talking about is like a complete overhaul of how we do procurement.
No, it's just a spec that has to be met. So what I'm talking
What's
about,
this spec?
specification, requirements.
I mean, what, like, what are some?
So the example I'm referring to is City of Golden, they put on RFP for, brand new building in downtown Golden and city owned. And they actually had a spec, a sustainability based spec of all the energy efficiency requirements.
Okay.
That aligns with their kind of sustainability goals that had to be met when they build it. And I'm not talking about just like, I'm talking about like energy based, water efficiency based, and those are the requirements.
The new codes will take care of it. The new code will.
I mean, we're getting there. I mean, those paths are coming together like this, but in some cases they're not quite there.
That's in water. We need as much as we have in water.
Yeah, I mean, I can go find it. I mean, I'm trying to see Alexis here a while back. But I can send it out to you all.
I added a thing. I think ACES can explore any of these things because part of what you can do is say, hey, we've been through a couple of facilities processes now. We would love to see this spec written in here. Here's what ACES recommended. And you could bring that to council and that would be appropriate. And they can decide if that's something that because it would be a change in.
Our time, if it's on the plan, we have the time to focus on it.
Sure.
Really dive into it, see if this is what we want. And how does it benefit, what are the ramifications? Because we don't remove some, but we do want to change what we do.
I mean, here's some of the stuff, like, City of Golden said they want all electric, no natural gas connections. Net zero renewable energy, as much rooftop solar as possible. A focus on connection to alternative transit modes. A water conserving design. A constructive waste diversion plan. Net zero use over the annual basis. 15% less water. 80% waste diversion. It just goes on. So it's basically a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that's in our sustainability action plan, but this actually puts what the council approved. They not have to walk along. Like, great, we approved this great plan, but now we need to make sure all of our buildings and new construction and I think a lot of the for example, I think a lot of the pinch points with the pool stuff could have been avoided if a spec like this was included with the RFP. Then you guys also, but this also gets into the selection process. So it doesn't skirt their procurement process, but now it's part of the score. So now they maybe have another in their rubric, another scoring category for sustainability, and they might choose a contractor that's more focused on all this stuff and it's going to meet these metrics.
So I think next year would be worth us exploring that.
Because it's obviously going to affect the cost.
Right.
If it's a requirement.
Yeah, I put it on there. I have a question for you all about just the format here. There was kind of more time-based stuff in the past, but I was noticing a lot of these say all year now.
Everything says all year, only because we can't predict what comes up when it comes up. And so this allows us, like this year, we focused a lot on the compost.
Yeah.
We got to beneficial vegetation a little bit at the beginning,
Right.
and now we're doing more at the end of the year. So
Do you want to say all year, or can you just assume it's all year if just to clean up the formatting?
we don't need to write all year. correct?
Unless it's like
We delete.
specifically a quarter, I just recommend for like cleaning this up, maybe we just remove all years.
And in some cases, it's good to have a bowl like this quarter.
Right, that was something.
Sure.
Just people don't.
I think I just want to, I mean, again, just a work plan, but if it's all year, let's just say. Okay. I will go back through. Yeah.
So I feel very good about you adding the chamber, adding the office hours, the decarbonization planning.
Yeah.
And then looking to look at the sustainability goals and to do businesses, looking for us to look into that.
Sure.
I would like to then move down to one of the things I'd like to focus on next year is where you have work with town staff, park and OSAP on water conservation and resilience, collaborate with OSAP
Mhm.
I put part on there too, natural landscapes and ecosystem. I think one thing we were talking earlier in our work session about the health of our ponds. Our ponds were, and Leslie work addresses in OSAC and then I watched. And she's well aware that the ponds have duckweed and she was explaining why some of the ponds have it. So I think this should be a focus of the natural and regenerative systems piece that we work with work and OSAC because the pond, when you have healthy ponds, you have healthy ecosystems. When we don't have healthy ponds, we bring a whole host of other problems, including speed. I don't know if you guys saw the increase in West Nile virus across Colorado, and we spray for mosquitoes in our town. So things like this, and part of it is at pond health. So I think we should focus on the health of our ecosystems and whether we find a way to rate it, evaluate it, grade it, and then work on that. But together, those are park and USAC issues.
Yeah, it feels, I mean, I think there's a role for ACEs probably, but I think that, you know, we'll want to be careful about delineating what's ACEs role versus what Park and NOSAC does, but I added Park to that if you feel like that addresses that.
Yeah, I think that delineation would be something we would work on next year.
Great. Do we want to talk about waste at all before we come down to here, or do you want to finish out with water?
You want to go back up and just keep on going down?
Yeah.
And then we'll jump back up.
Okay. Yeah, waste so I deleted everything that was specific to implementing, like the waste contract starting. But I still left doing educational opportunities around it. I highlighted the Rock Creek one because I wasn't sure if y'all wanted,
Yes.
do you want to continue this?
Yes.
Okay.
I think there is going to be a time between.
There is. Yes. Yes.
And they were talking about offenses and the term was subjective. And when I talked with one of the board members, I finally understand the confusion here about the waste contract. I think it was just coincidence, bad timing coincidence. That when we passed the ordinance to bring everybody underneath in 2028, that there was also the fact that the whole defense and license, so they felt that it was being pushed down that threat. When I explained to my board member, no, this is coming, we were coming out of a totally different angle. One of the last towns in this county border to do to do this, the aha statement came. And so I think we're a victim of just timing and circumstances for our waste contract. So I think this needs to be.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I asked about EPR, I said, how's EPR going to affect that creek? And the people at EPR says, you need to get your HOA to talk with their hauler and the circular action lines. And they need to have a conversation now. So in 2026, they're ready to parse out the recycling piece of their trash recycling bill. So.
And that's going to be on the HOA to figure out because they don't do it through the town.
Exactly. But that's why I was helping them understand that.
Yeah.
So I think pieces those.
And I did add EPR into here.
Okay.
So the extended producer responsibility, I printed on the public a little bit about this next time, but it's the state plan that's coming next year that's going to change what's recyclable and also potentially reimburse residents for recycling costs. Because producers are going to have to pay. Well, no, they're going to reimburse us because we bill. It depends on how you do it.
It depends on how you do it, but it's going to be the whole the county facility. But so when you have.
Not how our contract works.
Yes, so this is where it's going to be very confusing. So we have to be very explicit.
Yes.
On how we explain these things. Because
it's going to be different for the Rock Creek HOA than the town. And the town, because we bill, we're going to be reimbursed directly. Correct, but EPR is next year. So
right, so I think something to do with it in 2026.
Well, and they need to deal with it now because we're gonna have to apply for reimbursement this year probably.
So, I had a couple times giving feedback in before, because I'm trying to understand how it is. And so, how, James' question, how, connected is the permission of the acres to the program. Are we still tied into what the resolution that the Oasis acres says we should do? Is that still something we pay attention to, or have we moved?
Well, okay, at the highest level, this work plan is required to go on the council. They want to know what all the advisory committees are going to work on. So,
The resolution.
So I'm looking at it right now.
I don't think I've ever looked at this.
So this thing didn't get, we're charged to examine opportunities for enhanced sustainable county. That's kind of the picture. We sit down and establish priorities and goals. We examine and make recommendations to the board on possibilities of funding. We review and comment on proposed assembly programs. I try to augment that with those that were support and participate in towns. And so I'm sitting here just trying to, and I'm not necessarily saying we got to do these things, but I'm struggling to see, are we advisors? Are we cheerleaders? Are we liaisons? Are we an interest group that is doing something initiative? And I think we're kind of a mix of these things. And I look up here, you go to the top of the wilderness, the energy ones. So support grant opportunities for the town, vehicle, building education. I don't think we do that at all. I mean, we support you. This is something that you're doing.
I agree.
Promote residential and commercial energy audits. Well, I think we like that. And maybe you use things like we sit and have office hours so we can, but you're doing that.
Funny Sis does that at the expos and like through the events, I would say. Sis does.
Like a workforce.
Yeah.
Promote pace the board kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the Partners for a Clean Environment. Yeah, it's.
Well, the point is, I'm not sure what we should be doing. Obviously, I'm new into this thing, but I look over here and it's more advisory, more like I'm not sure if we as a committee is looking at what the towns actually do, what the town programs are, and what the board of trustees is considering, town council is considering, and providing advice to them around the sustainable ramifications of that. I feel like we maybe could or should maybe help. What do we know when those were written? 2005.
Because I think the disconnect here is that when I first joined ACES, we had no Alexis, we had no Alyssa,
Right.
and we were stuck in the first year.
We had no town staff.
And so I think we were literally the advising the town. ACES, go tell us what you think about this bike maintenance station at the trail end. Oh, sure, okay, yeah, that's a great idea, go do it. So we were kind of really that advisory thing, but I would say as things have evolved and they've actually hired staff for sustainability, we're like advocating and being proactive with it now. It's like, yeah, I mean, you probably check in with town and your boss and all that stuff and town council on things that we're moving forward. But yeah, I would say those are definitely dated, easily 20 years. And I'm wondering if maybe those need to be rewritten.
So that's not right.
Yeah,
I think
not that anybody's looked at them. I think you're probably the first person that's looked at them in
Well,
20 years.
and it's interesting because I have a little bit of a different perspective when I heard those. Is I feel like the things that we bring in this meeting, the things that I bring to you, like the energy codes, like, we haven't been in that many meetings, but all these things, that is your opportunity to advise and review the programs, the projects, like those big picture pieces, and give your recommendations and advice on sustainability. Yeah. So, I think the work plan is difficult because, I mean, basically at the top, it says you aim to achieve progress in the sustainability plan. A lot of it happens in this meeting. And I think the tricky part about the work plan is like, what can ACES move forward on its own? And maybe we do need to revisit the charter because it did happen before staff. But I guess like, what would it look like differently for you than this?
Well, is it the job of?
I'm on, Jim. I've been listening, by the way.
Oh, you are? I was like,
I
I didn't know
sorry.
if you could tell if I was on or not, but I've been trying to listen to the
No,
conversation.
sorry.
Screen doesn't show the attendees, but I want to respect your time, Miles. So
yeah, we can make
if you
a
want to be a
motion.
part of the work plan discussion, we'll keep going, or we can hit the pause button and just go to our vote. Yeah, let's go to the vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got like 9 minutes left, so whatever works. I can hang on for 9 minutes.
Well, why don't we just do the pause button on John's topic? Let's do the vote here real quick. So Miles, basically what's up for vote here is, we need to, allocate budget for holiday event swag. And so is that more than one event, or is it the holiday?
It's the
one?
2 holiday events, and
The-
you guys can allocate up to like $800 if you want.
Okay.
I think we spent a little less last year, but if you want more things, you have that
You have
budget.
a overall budget?
You have that, and then you would have a couple $100 left over.
Is there any reason why we don't want to have to pay all of it, or just spend,
It's up to you.
so there's like 1,000 left or something like that?
Yeah, I haven't done the math. You could you could just pay the rest of your budget.
This is the last of the events of the year, so it's not
Yeah.
going to be anything else.
It's up to
So
you.
The good news is with all this fire we buy, we can continue to
Yeah.
distribute.
It's true.
that's true. It's not big.
Right, these compost containers, you've already got those.
We still have them, yeah.
For the
We're good.
event time.
I think we just need a motion to spend the money for the theme, and then they can go buy. So we don't need to pick the exact products, right, Alexis?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I would mostly stick to what you already talked about, which are those reusable
Yeah.
bags, the gift wrap, and the battery, the reusable batteries.
Okay,
But-
yeah.
I guess we could allocate for other.
Any other things
So
you want
that
to add to that,
outreach.
Miles, or that's kind of what we're
No, that makes sense. And I think, Michelle, you staffed like the bazaar last year. I'm sure you could always use more stuff to give away at the holidays.
Yeah, so we're gonna add those 2 bags that you gave me, you know, the vegetable food bags that you don't use. John's, and you just take the fruit and the vegetables through the cart. People like Lisa and I use these bags, so we're apples and onions and we're down. So we're gonna buy some of those in addition to the gift wrap and the rechargeable bags.
So just we need a motion to approve up the remainder of the ACES budget for holiday swag. So,
And move to spend the rest of our 2025 budget
okay.
on December. All this stuff.
Second, Lisa second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so no nays. So yeah, we only got 5 tonight, including you, Miles. So that's what we need
Thank
for.
you.
Yeah, of course. Sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight.
No worries. We appreciate you taking the time for a couple minutes. So we'll,
course.
so hang out if you want to talk about work plan stuff, or if you got to run, that's all good. We'll catch you next time.
One quick announcement.
Yeah.
Did you, Kim shared this with me on Bandy Brewing on Tuesday. There's soil microbial ecologist coming, at 7 p.m. That is coming up. Well, the reason why I say this is because we want to have an eco-leader version of this, of something at Bandy, and I've only been in one presentation at Bandy, so I'm going to attend this. No, they can't, they're not allowed to. Is there any reason to have a table with every scrap counts?
There's good matters.
Or every scrap counts?
When is it?
It's this Tuesday.
I mean, I don't have capacity, but I'm happy to set you up with stuff to do it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can talk about
Yeah,
it. That's
we have
fine.
a little sign that says every scrap goes in.
Yeah, it feels like it connects with compost. Sure.
All right, so let's jump back to the.
Can I just
Yeah.
like
Yes, definitely.
really big picture? Well, I still want to know the answer to that question of like what you think it might look like. I didn't know if it was helpful to like orient people as well, just of what ACES has done in the past. And again, it might be different. I did put together a recap of like all the agendas and what ACES has worked on for the last 2 years to give you all like a sense. Obviously, it's like bullet point style, so it's not everything. And then I made a look ahead for next year too of just like those milestones. So I think that, I'm open to a larger conversation around what that would look like, but I guess when you read those things that didn't feel too discordant from what ACES does, so I'm curious what the disconnect
Well,
is.
I think that the right role for ACES is, to advise and to engage.
Sure.
Those are the two, verbs. But the thing that probably has, not necessarily resonated with me on the work plan is us cherry picking topics. It's like I'm saying, well, we should go with this topic because it's interesting to us, in this room right now. And it feels like, well, we have the sustainability plan, but we have the actual plan already prioritized. And we have all these programs that are going on in there. And so it should be stemming from that, as opposed to us just saying, oh, I think we should do this.
And
But then I also feel like if the word advise and engage, I'm like, I'm not sure we're leaning into either of those. I'm not sure if we're advising on another what town's doing. I'm not sure if we're liaising with all the right organizations we should be.
And I guess that's where it gets to do with what's ACE's role versus staff role of liaising and like what your pieces you can move forward on your own versus what like as policy direction, like you can, I don't know, it's a sticky piece. And I think it's a thing that advisory committees struggle with a little bit is like, what is the part that ACEs can do as a committee versus like what's happening overall as a town work plan and council priorities and agendas and like where do I think there's room for more expansion, but I think that it gets hard for what ACEs can do outside of this meeting time. Like everyone's a volunteer, right?
That's what I was gonna say. The first year we did our work plan, we covered everything on the sustainability action plan. And we really, at the end of the year, we only accomplished about 15% of what we said we were going to do. So the next year we said, let's focus more. Right? The first line item says focus on how you do the sustainability action plan. So for instance, there's transportation is in here, but we don't have any key focus areas on transportation. But let's suppose Bike to Work Day comes and we can get a message out. We can go to the town council and say, let's here, we encourage everybody. Let's suppose people want to learn how to ride the bus from downtown Superior to Boulder, and we are asked to participate in that. So that's where having that first line, achieve progress on the sustainability action plan, covers everything that's in there. And then we communicate to the town council, these are the things that we want to focus on because it's just doable. We can't do everything.
There's how many action items in the sustainability plan? I mean, it's huge.
Over 100. And then council does review this plan too. And they last year sent ACEs back to us. So they also have to agree with what the priorities are. So there's no reason you can't put more, but I think it just has to be feasible for a volunteer committee to move forward.
Did you read the resolution? Like falls on December 27th.
It was all agencies paying. I just looked at it.
Maybe
Is that seems to align? You know, it's a resolution 2017.
Yeah, because you said 2005.
You said 2005. Okay, that is the one you're referring to because all these 5 things seem to align. ACES is charged with examining the opportunities for enhanced environmental sustainability in the town, both with new programs and activities and modifications of existing activities. ACES shall assist the town establishing priorities and goals of environmental sustainability activities, including water, waste. ACES shall examine the recommendations of sources of funding. I guess is that pretty much what you just read about everything?
Yeah, and I think the possible sources of funding is a little bit dated. Like you kind of mentioned with the grants, that's not as much in ACES. We all have to be more now that there's a staff person and we have a grants person. Sure. Yeah, you can identify them. So, but it has changed a little bit. I think that's a fair point. I guess I would be curious, like I understand what you're saying about cherry picking actions and maybe there's more outside of this. There is kind of a section that is broader. So I think if you have suggestions for next time, it'll be on the agenda next time too. Or if you have ways that you think would be more effective, ACES has changed kind of its vision for how the work plan goes year to year. Last 2 years have been more consistent. It used to be much broader. So I think if you have specifics, let's open for discussion.
Yeah, we usually take 2 meetings to do this.
Because it's a lot to wrap your head around. January. So even if we don't, I mean, typically we don't work on it for a December meeting. So if we had to do it longer, I think it is just a lot for people to wrap their heads around, even if you've been through this process. And this is one way we've tried, but there's no reason. If you have suggestions, I think that's open for discussion.
It does help. I like having the work plans because you can read all the other advisory committee work plans and you kind of see where we overlap and where we can partner on some things. That's how I read it. So it helps me as a resident and a member basis.
And you could look at the other work plans. Maybe there's another format or something that you think might be more relevant.
I'm not sure that is to have more specific actions and deadlines for a work plan. That's what I see as work plan. Okay, we're going to accomplish these
We had that, it was about 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah, that's
Too long.
That's what
And
we
then we kind of filled it all in, but we went the opposite. We were
Yeah. We
general.
went very general.
We did a full-
Okay, well,
we really- But then you also got to keep in mind, you know, the board and the audience.
I'll give you another example. We get asked to do World Migratory Bird Day. And take basis to what World Migratory Bird Day is in the past. We can look at our work plan and say, did any of us think that,
well, and we have some specifics on that, where we're gonna table, because I think that's clear.
because we've added
This
that.
is what we're gonna do.
Right, so when things come up that's not in our work plan because they come up as a priority for the town, they come to us and say, what aid would like to participate? And so that's where we can't predict everything that we would be asked to do or we would advise on.
But I think it's a good thing to have some focus.
And that's why
Here's
this
the
is,
things
this
that
is
are
much more
coalition.
focused than it was, yeah, exactly.
So we were saying last year, we focused almost entirely on waste because it was the waste.
And electrification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we did electrification.
So I think we need to think about what we can focus on. Because our mission is very general, but we have to have a work plan for what are we going to try to accomplish this year.
So this is an old, all the work plans are in the Dropbox. I just wanted to show you all in case you want to look in between. Oops, sorry. I guess when I open this, it closed them all, but they're all on the ACES Dropbox, and you can see it used to include more actions and more areas. So,
That was the one that we got.
and it referenced the transportation plan or the sustainability plan by numbers. So I think there's a lot of ways to do this. I think I can send all this stuff out again before the next meeting and
I think what happened, a lot of that stuff turned into staff. So we backed out. And
That's
we
fine.
made it more advisory.
But what we need to do is figure out what do we want to work on.
And that's what we're doing. That's exactly what those are
Well,
the
we're really
things,
rehashing
things
what
that
we
I
did last
said are, no, the things that I said are things I want to work on in 2026. I want that overlap with Park and OSAC on natural environments. I want to work on the waste contract and helping more people. We need to electrify. The energy audits, we only, like I said, I only had 4 adults out of 40 say they've done home energy audits. How do I get the other 36 to say yes to renewable energy?
so we are out of time. What I wanted to say, I will not be here next time. It'll be Martin. We can take more meetings to do this. I think if you all have suggestions, it's helpful if you all redline them and put them in there for consideration. I mean, it's just a lot to go through, as you can see, and to wrap your head around and to edit in real time. So I think if there's ways that you think it would better match, you know, ACE's role now, if we need to revisit that charter, we could put that in there as well as something to look at for consistency. And then if there's tasks or things that you think are more consistent with how ACES actually functions, that's part of why I tried to put that like look ahead and agenda items together to give perspective on what ACES has advised on in terms of topics. And I think, you know, it's ultimately it's your work plan. It has to be approved by council, but I think it's open to.
I'll show you when our advisory rules gonna come up and we get like for these codes that we just talked about, right? And everything. Most of them did not, the council did not pass the advisory boards requisition for this. And the past, the other communities did. Well, we haven't gotten it yet. We're coming next quarter. So there's a big need for us and our expertise to help shed why this is important to support staff on this role. And once it's brought it to us, we do input and we will need to continue to advise down the road.
Should we, you know, do suggestions and send them, maybe put them on the.
I'll put them in the document and leave it in track changes so we can see what's changed. Yeah, and then be prepared to speak to them. Will you put that as an action item? And I will send that out to everyone before the next ACES meeting, because people who are not here, it's gonna be tough for those, especially people like Patrick who have never done this before. It's always a tough discussion and there's not a right way to do it, unfortunately, so. Is to add your suggestions to the 2026 work plan and Dropbox. In track changes that can be discussed at the November meeting.
Resident. So when you talk about that, you're not, you're but you're experience and connections.
Is the town, I know you want to refresh the sustainability action plan. Is that on the docket for next year?
2027 for Jen's suggestion. So we talked about that, but with all the engagement that needs to happen around the waste contract in Rock Creek, I think it makes sense. And with all the state policy happening next year, I'm relieved that we're not doing it next year. But yes, that will be part of the budget recommendation that I hope ACES will participate in and support. And that would be obviously a role for ACES as well to advise on like
That's why
the
I asked
next.
about it, so it won't be on
level.
this year's work plan.
No, it's not on this year's work plan, but I assume we'll,
Yes.
we'll talk about it through the budget process, which again, they do really take ACE's recommendations seriously. I didn't put that on there to be trite, but that's an important way to liaise with council is it has more weight when it's ACE's recommendation. Yeah, I mean, ACE's presented.
Remember, we added rebates from the top of support, we didn't have those.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.